Start. This is Team Gamma Vespers, but as you can see, it's not a team. It's more of an individual Gamma Vesper because all my teammates left. Jesse, very notably, he's very. I'm not going to say anything more. All right. So I'm going to start with what type of leader are you? That's the topic of today's little Vespers. I'm going to make this quick, so please pay attention, or else I'm going to find you and I'm going to fill body axe spray all over you. All right. So I'm a firm believer in that there's no such thing as talent, and everything that we do, everything that we can, is according to our own will. Nobody is born talented, and nobody is just born capable of doing something. And for we are made in God's image. What do you think under the sun? Do you think we cannot do? There's nothing. Philippians 4:13 says, "I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me." So we are all born to be leaders, as I just said. Yet each one of us has a different style of leadership, right? So some of us like to take charge and just go march straight to the problem, or some of us might prefer either to just sit back and observe the problem, or just try mediating the conflict on the back of the seat. Right? So for right now, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to fill out the survey. So you're going to see 4 columns of questions, right? So fill out 4 for something that's most like you, and fill out 1 that's for the least like you. You're going to add up all the numbers at the bottom, and whichever column has the highest number count is your spirit animal. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes. All right, some people are not understanding what I said, so I'm gonna reiterate what I just said. So write numbers instead of check marks. If that word describes you, write 4. If that's the word that's least likely to describe you, write 1. I'm gonna give you 2 more minutes, and we're gonna start. We're gonna get moving with the thing.
What is this? What are you doing?
Hello? Hello? All right. Are you guys almost done with it? All right. Um, if you guys are not doing it, or if you're just talking, please be quiet. Stop talking. If you don't have the paper done, no, I mean if you didn't even get started on it, I want you to go sit back at the right behind row, like the backmost row, and I want you to sit there instead of standing here. All right, so I'm going to divide you guys up to 4 groups. So if you look at the bottom of the column that you got the numbers of, it's going to say either of those 4 animals: lions, peacocks, koalas, and owls. All right. So, all right, listen. All right, the rightmost one is going to be lions. That one's going to be peacocks, koalas, and owls. I want you to move with your groups and move around. And sit on the front. All right, lions to the rightmost one, to your leftmost one. Peacocks, koalas, and owls. There, koalas. Okay. 피커? 여기. 코알라 저기. Okay, I'm going to say it again. Lions to the rightmost side to me, to your leftmost side. Then peacocks, koalas, and owls. I'm not going to repeat it again. Huh? Oh, then if you got the same ones, choose whichever you want to go. It doesn't really matter. All right, everyone who did it, move to the front instead of sitting in the back. All right, come up instead of sitting in the back. Onyx. Yeah, come up front instead of sitting in the back. Come up front. Everyone come up front. Whoever voted, whoever did this, come up front. I'm not. Yeah. Yeah, move to the front. I'm not speaking gibberish, okay? If you did it, move to the front. Okay? You're not sitting in the back. If you didn't do it, leave. Okay. I mean, just like sit in the back or something. They're annoying me. All right. All right, so in your groups, just get a paper, and in your group, list all the amazing and wonderful things that describe your personality. And also list all the warnings that other people should keep in mind about your personality. So what I mean by warnings is like the parts of your, oh wow, you're alone. The parts of your personality where if other people understood better about you, you wouldn't get in as much trouble as you are. So you could say something like making too many stupid jokes or interrupting people or being too direct, etc., etc. The list goes on. All right. So then give real life examples on how your personality can be needed in work, school, family, and society. For example, for school, you can say something like, "Oh, I have a good time management." All right. The last one is come up with a movie and a song that best represents your collective spirit. So I'm going to say collective because it means in a group. It doesn't mean you're all spread apart. So please, I'm not going to say this again, but like, move to the front. All right. Like, am I speaking gibberish? Come up. Come up. God. All right, I'm going to give you another 5 minutes. As a group, not individually, as a group, come up with the things that I just put on the screen, all right? If you're not doing anything, if you don't have the survey, sit in the back. All right, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. All right, starting now.
Very well.
Yeah.
This team should.
Like, did you do it or not?
Yeah, dude.
Did you do it? So what animal are you?
Cool.
Then go to the koala All right, hello. I'm assuming that you did it, listed all the good things and warnings about your personalities, then real life examples on how your personality can be needed in those four areas, and come with a movie that or a song that best represents your collective spirit. I'm assuming that you did it, all right? So just pick one representative from each of your groups and just come out and present one by one. All right, Lion's going first. Just tell us all the things that you said. Everyone be quiet. He's trying to talk. Jermaine, stop. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna skip that because you're illiterate. Stop talking. All right. So I'm just gonna get on with what it all means. All right. All right. So peacocks, you guys called, like in other words, you guys can be called a monkey. So if you're a monkey, that sucks for you. All right. That's the communicators, and some of the words that they officially listed is social, friendly, humorous, enthusiastic, expressive. They want respect and acceptance. And the lions are called the doers because they're direct, they're honest, they're confident, they're leaders, they're active, they're strong-willed. They don't mind conflict, they don't compromise, and they're independent. The koalas, the listeners, they listen more than they talk. They're calm, they're emotionally steady, they avoid conflict, they want encouragement and support. The last one, the owls, the thinkers, are detail-oriented, intelligent, accurate, private, serious, thoughtful, and they're difficult to get to know. All right, the thing that I want to exaggerate is that they can or tend to be. So you're just going to be like, oh my God, I'm not like that. So it means tendency, all right? It doesn't mean that you're not a brick of concrete. You're not just set in one personality type. All right, so let's move on to the negative side. All right, the peacocks are the communicators, and they can be called a tantrum throwers. All right, the things they usually say are things like, fine, I'll take this beep party somewhere beep else. They never let the fact of get in the way of a great story. They're professional Bolton-ers. So they make up things in order to create a great story. And they don't mind when they start telling a story. It can be in a very serious type of conversation, and they just start going like, all right, wait. That reminds me of that one time that I was like, yeah, whatever. Nobody cares. They lack follow-through. They're phony and pushy. They can be undisciplined. They're unproductive. They exaggerate. They're sometimes egocentric, and they're unstable. All right, they can be. Not that I don't notice those tendencies. All right, the lions, they called the controllers, and they're a tyrant. Some of the things they say a lot is, get to the bottom line, or like, what's your point? Or like, deal with it, womp womp. All right, they appear insensitive, they're brassy and overbearing, they're cold, they're domineering, and they're unemotional. They appear unemotional. It's not that they're actually unemotional, they just look like that. All right, the third one, koalas, the listeners, they are called the victim because the things they say a lot is like, I don't know what I want, whatever, I'm fine with whatever you say. Hey, don't blame me, it's not my fault. They appear weak, they're indecisive, and they're fearful. Their biggest fear is getting blamed for something they are responsible for, but they just don't want to be blamed for it. All right, the last one, the thinkers. All right, they're called the avoider. So they tend to go be like, one day you'll regret not listening to me, or like they're like a place for everything and everything in its place. They're very not controlling, but very set in stone. All right, they appear apathetic, picky, stubborn, moody, self-centered, touchy, unsociable, and revengeful. All right, so this personality matrix was developed in the early 1900s when the University of Michigan and Ohio State University decided to figure out what type of people make the best managers. So this is what they came up with. So lions and peacocks, the people who are here, you guys tend to be snap decision makers. That doesn't mean that you make fast decisions, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're making the right decisions. A lot of times it's a wrong decision. The owls and koalas tend to be more deep thinkers. So lions, they make snap decisions because they have a list of things they want to do, and when things don't go their way, they're fearful that things will take a longer amount of time than they expected it to. So they just get it done with. Peacocks, they're like, I want to get it done fast so I can do more things that's on my mind. As for owls, they want to do things correctly. That's why they're deep thinkers. And koalas, they're deep thinkers because they don't want to create chaos by their nature. All right, so that's snap decision, and there's deep thinkers. Another one is lions and peacocks tend to be tell-assertive. Lions and peacocks just tell people that what they want to do, what they should do, and how they feel like. They don't really care about what other people think. They just tell them. Owls and koalas are more ask-assertive. They ask more questions. Why should I do this? Why am I like this? Why is things like that? And finally, so they decided to figure out who make the best managers. And the decision they came up with is that they're not a specific personality type that makes the best managers. Rather, they have two different types. And this time, instead of going horizontal, it's vertical. So lions and owls, they're results driven. So they don't care about how many people they hurt in the way, they just do things. Peacocks and koalas, they don't really mind if they don't get things done. They care about the relationship. They say, if you work for me, you're gonna have a blast. Lions and owls, they tend to go be like, if you work for me, you're gonna get things done, no matter how many people get hurt in the way. All right, so IQ, EQ, and personality. So back in the day, people used to think that IQ decides your personality, but it turns out that it's not. People who are in high IQ, it doesn't necessarily mean they have better personalities, and people who have low IQs doesn't necessarily mean they have a worse personality either. So what they figured out was another standard of intelligence called EQ. It's emotional intelligence, and it's a very essential part of the person. All right, so when one figure themselves out and they motivate themselves instead of being peer pressured by others, the first step that they do is self-awareness. They try to see in a personal way what they see, so it's called self-awareness. The second step that they go to is self-management. Instead of thinking about what I see, they start thinking about what they do in a personal manner. The third step is they grow social awareness. Instead of saying, oh, I just see this, they see in general, in a social way, they grow social awareness. The last one is they manage relationships because they do things that benefits the collective society. All right, so how do you personally benefit when you manage your warnings? Huh? Okay. What are two things that are not in alignment with God's vision? So, as I told you to do, I'm starting to wonder if you actually did it or not with all the time that I gave you. But if you did it, there should be a list of warnings that you wrote about yourself. Try to think about how many of those warnings, which of these warnings are not in alignment with God's vision. And another one is, how do I personally benefit when I manage my warnings? So I want you to think about these two and just write it down on your own papers. You can do it, you cannot do it. If you don't want to do it, just don't do it. Doesn't really matter, but I'm going to give you 5 minutes to write all these down, and I'm going to come back up. Starting now.
I
Hello? Hello. All right, are you guys done with it? All right, this time I'm gonna try to actually do the presentation. So I'm gonna go with Carter again. Those two things that I just told you to do, and I'm expecting you to do it this time. I have high expectations. All right, so Carter.
Direct to get things done, not to be mean. I address problems when I see it, so sometimes it can seem like all I focus on are the problems. I can be threatening because I am very direct and often get myself into bad situations because I hit conflict right on the head instead of walking away. Oh, I can try to be a little more, I can try to come across as more considerate instead of, being quite so direct.
So what are two things that are not aligned with God's vision?
Being direct and coming across as mean. I think God would prefer that we keep other people in mind in every interaction, as opposed to just trying to get things done.
Wait, peacocks, if you just to the left one.
Okay, whatever. Do you want to do it or not do it? Fine. How I can personally benefit when I manage my warnings is that people don't find me like as annoying because like if I just like tell them that, shut up. If I just tell them that, they'll be like, they won't find me like annoying, and like we can actually like get along because like not everyone likes like a super like loud personality and stuff. So,
some wordings that are in God's vision are I can have a high ego and I can accidentally cause boundaries because I'm always trying to be like so loud and stuff. I feel like I could benefit from it because I could learn those boundaries.
All right. Let's go to Koalas. Someone has to have written something. He's
One of the things that I wrote down is that we're empathetic, and I could use that as a benefit if like someone comes to me and asks for help with something and they don't know how to like process it. I can help them with that. And two warnings: being sensitive is bad, or not bad, but could be bad if I get too sensitive, and being more on the quiet side is not good either.
We just thought we personally benefit when we manage our warnings because you just become more self-aware as a person. So like the owls problems were, I don't remember, but yeah, we know that if you grow as a person and you mature as a person, you get to become more aware of your faults, and therefore you learn to rein in your faults, and that just helps you so people don't dislike you. Yeah.
owls have the tendency to overthink and be overly logical and not take into account people's feelings, emotions, things like that. And so it's managing the warnings would be taking into account the people factor and actively paying attention to that. And that would also fit with the things not in line with God's vision.
Before I move on with the next slide, there was something that I forgot to say about. All right, so let's start another roasting session. All right. So peacocks. So let's start with peacocks. All right. So they always interject in any type of conversation, start saying like, "Oh my God, this one time," and they cause tantrums all the time, right? But the thing about this tantrum is like, they forget what caused their tantrums. They're so caught up with their own self bubble that they forget what they're talking about. They start throwing tantrums, and like the next thing you know, they're just back into telling their stories. All right, so koalas. So the things I said about koala is that they say, "I don't know," or like, "Whatever, I'm fine with whatever you say." The thing is, they're not fine with it. And until like they're like they try to convince other people that they're right, and when it doesn't start working, they just start going like, "Yeah, whatever, I couldn't be bothered with this." And all of a sudden, there's a sudden meltdown and saying like, "This is not my fault, this isn't my fault," and they start resenting all the other people. All right. So, and peacocks, by the way, are the most susceptible to doing stupid things for social media likes. So they tend to be more peacocks that are social influencers that do dumb things like, I don't know, Tyler one maybe. All right, so let's just end with that. Emotional intelligence is made up of 5 key components. The motivation that the one I think I mentioned, maybe you don't remember, is like all of these things you have to motivate yourself to do it. It doesn't just happen just overnight. And these 5 components actually equal 58% of success. It's not your intelligence. It's not your IQ. It's not your SAT score. It's not your what college you go to. It's how intelligent are you in terms of dealing with other people and understanding other people. All right, so as we conclude, I just want to say that God created each and one of us to be leaders of our own respective groups. And our style of leadership is heavily dictated by our personality type. And while it can occasionally lead to conflicts, we can observe every day where opposite personality types become best friends and more. So if you try to remember back to where you started before you moved to your own groups, you'll notice that the people next to you isn't necessarily the same personality type as you are. So that's the beauty of all these things. All right, so how we understand others and solve problems is a big issue and need to be more conscientious about it. So God intended us to be social animals and to work together to overcome challenges. And the thing another God told us is that in the Bible, He doesn't tell us that it's a good thing to be just staying in our own bubble, not changing personalities whatsoever. He actually challenges us to grow out of our own shells. And there is a quote by Florence Littar, and she's a author of Personality Plus. She's one of the founders of these personality types thingies. And she said that Christians are called by God to be subject to change, and we're not a block of concrete. Like, our personalities don't really restrict themselves into one animal, and they just bleed into the others. So, yeah, I want you to challenge yourself and think of what you can do to change your personality or like manage your warnings to be more Christ-like. All right, so I just want to end with Colossians 3:13 and 12 to 13. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you, right? Yeah, thank you for listening, including all these people in the back, and happy Sabbath.